Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. What's that old quote that everyone's always ranting and raving about? Ah yes, politics is downstream from culture. It's one of the truest statements. Well, I'll tell ya, the culture is shifting, and I think we're about to see a downstream effect here. You know, it feels as though never before has Donald Trump been in such a favorable position in terms of public perception or the public's willingness to honestly engage with him as an option. For so long, Donald Trump was a cultural outcast, at least outside of the mainstream. He was exiled out of the mainstream world the moment he declared his candidacy as a Republican. Well, after all the damage that they've done to him, after all the damage they've attempted to do, in their attempts to cast him as an outsider, as somebody to avoid, as somebody not to engage with, well, at the end of the day, it's simply no longer working. The culture is shifting and people are embracing Donald Trump like never before. The culture is shifting in the sense that being a Trump supporter is now more acceptable. I think the Trump derangement syndrome spell is slowly losing power. The haze is fading. People are seeing clearly. They're looking at the other side, not seeing horrible white neo-Nazis coming back to power and just seeing other Americans wearing red hats who happen to be people with slightly different political views. People are coming on like never before, and that seems to be the theme of this election. But everybody seems to be thinking, you know, maybe Donald Trump wasn't that bad after all. We've been seeing it, we've been talking about it, but now millions of people saw it on Dr. Phil's primetime presidential special, and the focus group after the event, well, it's the cherry on top. Let me show you guys exactly what's going on. Let me show you guys exactly what happened. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. All right, folks, so it was a special night, I'll tell you that. I mean, talk about a media win. Doctor's one of the greatest TV presenters of our time. He's a media icon. Millions upon millions of people are watching worldwide, and this is the kind of thing that was happening.
Under the job we did.
You have rallied people. I had people in my focus group the other night that said, I have not voted for Trump before, I have not been a Trump fan before, but I have donated to Trump because he has inspired me. I have donated to him and I am voting for him now, and I have not before, but he has inspired me.
Actually, it's been a beautiful thing to watch. Thank you.
Mr. President, it's been an honor speaking with you. Thank you so much.
Dr. Phil alluded to something, and that kind of became the theme of the night. That people who weren't Trump supporters before, well, they're now jumping on after everything they've seen. And of course, we obviously saw that reported within the fundraising numbers themselves. I think what their statement was, 30% of the $70 million that was pulled in the first 24 hours in small grassroots donations, 30% of those donations came from first-time donators and first-time supporters. All kinds of new people are jumping on ship. Dr. Phil says he sees it in his own personal experiences, and then during the show's focus group afterwards, well, just take a look at this. The interactions, I think, speak for themselves.
So watching your interview today, I think it actually gave me an interpretation that I've never had of him before.
So I was here Monday and I stated that I was formerly a Democrat, now Republican, and I'm still undecided. But I am swayed. My mindset towards him since I saw the court, when y'all talked about the court hearing and all that, yes, I don't feel like that was fair for him.
I was just thinking about when they ran the first time together, or the second time, and President Biden won. I have a lot of Republican friends and a lot of Democratic friends. I'm kind of neutral, but they talked about good versus evil. And I thought, well, we're not really in a Disney movie, so I don't understand. You may not like him, I get that. But now, 4 years later, the same people I know that have said these things say, I'm really upset with my 401k, I'm upset when I go to the grocery store, and they're all voting for Trump now. So it's, and on the TikTok thing, I do get on TikTok, and most of the people I have followed off and on, their TikToks have been taken down if they have anything about Trump. And I just think this is bias, and so that doesn't help his case at all. They just see one side.
People are coming on like never before. We're hearing the same thing over and over again. That's why I'm saying I don't think the polls are telling the full story. If the polls are following a trend more similar to what we saw in 2016, where there was this secret Trump supporter effect, and of course a voter enthusiasm gap, if we start seeing this Trump swell, let's call it, show up on election day, well then the current polls that we're seeing that are showing Trump ahead pretty much everywhere, they might not even be telling the whole story. His lead might be even greater than that. You know, that's what it feels like. It feels like there's just some something bubbling beneath the surface that's about to pop. And usually the closer we get to election day, the more people go in the Trump camp. Undecided voters or the secret Trump voters finally reveal themselves at the last second, usually right ahead of the election. The numbers get way closer than where you would expect them to be as of right now. I guess the point is, this time Trump seems way ahead of where you would expect him to be historically. Like I said earlier, he seems to be in a more favorable position to capitalize, to really capture people politically. In this environment, in this complex circumstance, let's say, there seems to be an opportunity to grab votes like never before. There seems to be so many people who might have been on the fence in the past, who might have thought, you know, Donald Trump was a Russian agent, or Donald Trump stole a cheeseburger from a 5-year-old this one time. There's people who had all of these preconceived ideas of who Trump was based on what they read 4, 5, up to 8 years ago. You know, the perfect type of low information voter that Democrats love to prey on. It seems like those people are having a wake-up call moment. Those people are finally starting to realize a little bit how the cookie's made. I think the Democrats overstepped. They crossed the Rubicon. They went out of bounds quite significantly, and a lot of people woke up. I mean, let's just think about it. Your typical independent or non-politically motivated person, apolitical person, non-interested person, that logically you would expect to be swayed by this 34-count guilty verdict, the type of person that would generally see the headlining, Trump's a criminal, we can't go there. Well, you would expect those people to show up in the polls. They aren't. No, in fact, the opposite's happening. Those people seem to have woken up. The Democrat crying of wolf is no longer having an effect on those people anymore, at least on a good chunk of them. You know, actually, there was a great moment again from Dr. Phil's show. Just take a look.
First question was asked, I would vote for a convicted felon for president of the United States. 91% say yes, and then Keith and a few stragglers say no. So 91% of the people say yes, and I don't know if that's because they think that's kind of a bogus conviction or if they think it's a white-collar conviction or something. That's something we need to drill down more on, but 91% of the people say they would.
91% said they don't care. They'd vote for a convicted felon for president of the United States. Of course, you have to practice discretion. I mean, nobody's advocating for electing Jack the Ripper to office, but somebody stitched up by a Democrat DA in a Democrat stronghold with a Democrat-connected judge overseeing the case and a clearly partisan jury. Yeah, I think people can stomach that one and vote for the convicted felon. You know, that's the lesson I think Democrats are learning here. It's that none of it worked. It's all backfiring actively, as we're seeing. We're seeing it happen in real time with all of these little anecdotes kind of piling on top of each other. This is another one of them. Dr. Phil does this amazing show. Trump seems to be fighting his way back into a favorable light from a cultural perspective, fighting his way back into people's hearts. That's what it feels like. The verdict had no impact. They couldn't rip him off the ballot. They couldn't bankrupt his campaign. They failed, they failed, they failed. And the boomerang seems to be swinging back in the opposite direction. I don't think the Democrats have the ability to dodge that boomerang coming for them because their head's just way too damn big. You know, kind of like an Adam Schiff situation.
He's got the thinnest neck I've ever seen, how it holds up that head.
Anyways, that's pretty much what I got for you guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.